This trip to Jamaica was a lot different for me than the past 2 years have been. As most of you know, I was there for 3 weeks on the leadership team. I was in charge of the scheduling and making sure everyone knew what was going on in the midst of changed plans and last-minute chaos. It was an interesting role to play, to say the least. God provided me not only with patience, but also with the ability to be a peacemaker between the different groups. My leadership skills and abilities were stretched, tested, and expanded over the course of the 3 weeks. Being there for 3 weeks was an amazing experience, but it was not all roses and butterflies. I had an amazing experience the first week, but by the second week I found myself relying on my own strength rather than on God's strength. But God was and is faithful, and I know that He was right there by my side, guiding and protecting me throughout the trip, whether I acknowledged Him or not. On a more exciting note, this year in Jamaica, I was given my first opportunity to lead people in the salvation prayer. Each time was indescribable. The thought that God allowed me and used me to bring each and every one of them to know Him and love Him and spend eternity with Him is the most amazing feeling. God is amazing. Since I don't have time to tell each and every story I have, I will tell you my favorite one. On the Saturday of the last week, we had to change hotels, but because of transportation issues, all of our shows had been canceled for the day until our night show. So we arrived at our hotel around 11 and had until 6. At some point in the afternoon, a group of us from the Wisconsin team walked down to the beach. I noticed 2 boys about 9 and 11 years old, about 200 yards away, and felt God wanted me to go talk to them. But I was like, God, come on. It's our day off. They are too far away. Why would you want me to go talk to them? But God is all-knowing, and He had a plan to deal with my unwillingness to listen to Him. About 10 minutes later, Lori Kay came up to me and said she felt we should go talk to the boys at the end of the beach. At this point, I knew that we had to go if God had planted the idea in both of our heads. So I told her that we needed to find some other people to go with us, and we would go. So Lori Kay and I gathered Bryn, Mike, and Heidi, and we set out across the Coral Beach. There was a huge bush about 3/4 of the way between us and the boys, and as we rounded the bush, we noticed that there was a group of about 8 to 10 boys, ranging from about 9 to 17, sitting under the tree on the shore that none of us had noticed before. At that moment, we all stopped in our tracks and immediately began looking through the dead coral for shells and avoiding God's call for us to go talk to the group. After about 10 minutes, God was just like, Amy, what are you doing? Seriously, just go talk to the group. That's what you came over to do, and that's what I want you to do. So at that point, I gathered the group and we huddled up and prayed that God would just open their hearts and give us His words and His wisdom as we approached them. As we started the remainder of the walk, Lori Kay pipes up again and says, "Oh, by the way, I'm the one that wanted to come over here, but I'm not really good at talking, so can someone else do it?" We all just started laughing and said we would figure it out once we got over there. We started talking to the group, and like any group of boys, it was hard to get any information out of them because of all the peer pressure that was going on amongst them. I started talking to a 17-year-old named Jerome, who seemed to be the head of the group. He explained that he would be ready to be a Christian when he was done with school in 3 years. I started to explain that today was the day of his salvation, and he did not need to wait because he would never be worthy of God's love. I told him that God's love is a gift that is ours to take and accept. After a while, the entire group was listening to Jerome and I talking, and he and another boy said that they wanted to accept Christ as their Savior. I then told the whole group that I would pray aloud, and anyone who wanted to accept Christ could repeat after me. Due to the dynamics of the group, I didn't expect any of them to repeat the prayer after me. But, to my surprise, as I finished the first line, every boy in the group was accepting Christ. It was by far the greatest moment of the entire trip. Through my experiences this year, I learned that God is faithful. His faithfulness is something that never ceases to amaze me. I learned that when I surrender to His will, He can use me to do great things and bring glory to His name. This trip to Jamaica is something I will cherish forever, and I look forward to seeing what my role will be with this ministry in the future. Thank you for all your prayers and support. We could not have had the success we had without a church body at home supporting us.